South Africa is dealing with a new wave of travel bans, and here to update us is Otto de Vries. He's the CEO of Asata. Otto, give us a status update. Is there another coordinated response from the industry? How serious is this, and what's worrying you most?
Yeah, hi, Sarah. It's extremely serious. I can tell you that this is as serious as when we were locked down for the first time. Everything has just ground completely to a halt again. So the situation is dire, to say the least. In terms of coordinated efforts, look, I guess as a result of us knowing what happened the first time around, there are many lessons that have been learned. I have just come off a call where we are coordinating across the entire supply chain, particularly through the Tourism Business Council, together with South African Tourism and other entities, a coordinated strategy around communication and engagement, both from a government point of view and a lobbying point of view, as well as a communication strategy that will focus primarily on the consumer side. So we are working on that, and we will have something ready that will sort of be activated within the next couple of days. This time it will be quick, and we are ready. So yes, there is a much more coordinated response. And what are we trying to do? Well, I guess what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a couple of clear messages across. First and foremost, we are going to be looking, and this is a medium to long term, but very critical component, is the drive towards higher levels of vaccination in our country. It is not only critical in terms of defending ourselves and our families and our bodies against any typical variant that may be there, and this is just one of them, but also to ensure that we build confidence in our country, that people feel that it's safe to allow us to travel in and out of South Africa. So vaccination will be the absolute foundation and the basis of this. The second thing, of course, is we need to be thinking about how we are communicating the excellent work that our scientific community are performing when it comes to identifying these variants and ensuring that the information is shared with the scientific community globally in a manner that doesn't once again trigger a completely idiotic response from foreign governments to place a travel ban on South Africa. Because quite frankly, that's exactly what it is. It is absolute idiocy. The fact of the matter is this variant probably came from one of those very same countries. The fact that we have identified it shows not only how on top of it we are, but how we are much better geared at managing these pandemics than the so-called first world that have now once again decided to shut Africa out. So it is absolutely imperative that we find better ways of communicating our successes, and rather that this turns into a travel ban. Last but not least is, of course, also clearly messaging the very good way that we are already managing this pandemic. You know, there they are in the UK running around without masks on and thinking that everything is all right. They're having 40, 50, 60, 70,000 new cases a day, and yet they've had the audacity and the cheek to lock us out when we are still wearing masks in public, we are still sanitizing, we are still doing temperature checks, we are still doing track and trace. I mean, it is just unbelievable. So, from our point of view, those are some of the key focus areas that we are going to be putting our efforts into to try and get this situation reversed sooner rather than later.
Any idea of how long this can last? Has there been any indication from your network?
Well, it's the opaque messaging that has come out of Europe, and in particular, it was started by the UK by saying this is temporary. I mean, how long is a piece of string? So, your guess is as good as mine. I would like to believe that within the next 2 weeks, we'll have clear scientific evidence and data showing that the Omicron variant is not in any way, shape, or form less prevalent or than any others, and that the vaccination that we are currently all enjoying the benefits of also works for this variant. That message is critical and very, very important. And that if indeed that is recognized within the next fortnight, that these travel bans will be lifted with immediate effect for all passengers that wish to travel and are vaccinated. For me, that is the immediate first goal that we're looking to achieve.
What other interventions is Asata calling for urgently?
Well, amongst other things, there is recognition now that the income of our sector has once again been profoundly impacted. I spoke to somebody this morning and they have lost 98% of their bookings for the next 3 months. So, let us not for a moment think that this is not an absolute disaster. So immediate requests for the extension of tours for the travel and tourism sector for at least the next 3 months is already on the cards as one of the requests that we've put out.
Okay, I was actually going to ask if you'd heard of any relief funding or government aid because of these new travel bans. There does seem to be an indication from government that it understands now just how serious this is for tourism. How are you feeling about the president's speech last night and the fact that tourism, got such a mention?
Yeah, I'm extremely encouraged. I think that there was a lot of takeaway there that is clear evidence to me that this government is extremely serious about our sector, that they are fully understanding of the plight of our sector and how critical it is to our economy. And I think a few things that he mentioned last night was for me a very, very positive message. One related to vaccinations, even to the extent that there is a task team that will be put together to give consideration to having certain sectors being required to be vaccinated rather than from a voluntary point of view as a compulsory. I fully support that. And I believe that anyone who works in the travel and tourism industry and hasn't gotten themselves vaccinated, shame on you, because you are part of the problem and you're not part of the solution. We need people to actively understand that vaccinations are the only basis upon which we can confidently rebuild our industry and save your jobs. So get out there and get vaccinated. That was for me the first very important message. The balance of his speech, to your point, was around this knee-jerk and completely uncalled travel bans that have been affected on us, and the statements that he made around commitments and promises that came out of the G20 and other meetings where we were told that we would not have a situation where our economies would be affected in this manner again. And yet that's exactly what they've gone and done. So shame on all of them. They should all take a long, hard look at their political decisions overriding critical health decisions. And when those decisions are made purely on a knee-jerk reaction and not on scientific and data-driven basis, I just can't believe that the first world is being run by such ignorant people. It just defies all logic.
Otto, United Airlines, their first flights between Washington and Lagos and Cape Town and New York are set to go ahead this week. You've spoken about a 2-week sort of projection, but is that an indication of how quickly things could turn around?
Well, look, it's an extremely fluid situation. And to be honest with you, we've understood that President Biden will be making an additional statement with regards to travel bans this morning. And obviously that'll be Washington time. What we are also hearing is that there are other airlines that will be operating, but from what we understand, those flights are looking at being repatriation flights rather than commercial flights. So what I, at this point, cannot give you any real context on is whether or not those flights will or won't operate, number one. Number two, will they operate on a commercial basis? Because I'd understood that the United States has added us as part of their travel ban. And if it is indeed the case, then we need to assume anything that is supposedly scheduled will be functioning as repatriation flights. But at this stage, I don't know.
What is this sort of the message to your members, your travel agents who are grappling with these changes today?
Yeah, guys, I'm devastated. I'm devastated for all of you. My heart is just broken. I'm feeling completely gutted and overwhelmed. You've all worked so hard and so tirelessly and collaboratively in trying to get ourselves back on track. We were so excited about, having a first reasonable summer holiday season. Having chatted to some of you on Friday and over the weekend, I can hear it in your voices. And all I want to do is tell you that you're in my thoughts. I wish I could do more. I promise that I'll keep doing my absolute best to help and support you in my capacity. Do your best, look after those customers, show your worth, show your resilience, show your gutsiness. And let's once again put our shoulders to the wall and just do the very, very best we can. I am extremely proud of all of you, and I'm extremely proud to be able to represent this industry. And I wish you all the very, very best of luck.
Okay, Otto, thanks for joining us. Thank you.
Okay.